Have you ever felt like life just keeps throwing problems at you, one after another? Like no matter how hard you try, you just can't catch a break. If you've ever felt overwhelmed and on the verge of giving up, then this story is for you. It's a simple yet profound tale that could completely change the way you look at your struggles. Once, in a quiet little town, there lived a young man whose life felt like a constant battle. Problems seemed to follow him like a shadow, clinging to him no matter what he did. Every success was followed by a failure. Every joy was quickly overshadowed by a new worry. He felt exhausted, drained by the relentless hardships. He tried everything he could think of, but nothing seemed to work. The weight of his struggles became so heavy that he felt he could uncarry it for another day. Feeling completely lost and defeated, he decided to seek the wisdom of an old Zen master who lived on a nearby mountain. He hoped the master could offer him a solution, a way to end his suffering. He climbed the mountain, his heart heavy with despair, and finally arrived at the master's humble temple. The young man poured out his heart to the Zen master. He spoke of his pain, his failures, his constant disappointments. He described how every effort he made seemed to lead to more trouble, how he felt trapped in a cycle of suffering. The Zen master listened with complete silence and unwavering patience. He didn't interrupt, didn't offer advice, just gave the young man the space to share his entire burden. When the man finally finished, his voice trembling with emotion, the master simply stood up and walked into an adjoining room. The young man was puzzled, but hopeful. He thought the master was retrieving some ancient scroll or a secret potion that would solve all his problems. A few moments later, the master returned, but he wasn't carrying a scroll. He was holding a small packet of salt. He walked over to the young man and poured a handful of salt into his palm. The young man stared at the salt, completely confused. What could this possibly have to do with his suffering? The master pointed to a glass of water sitting on the table. "Put this salt into the glass," he said gently, "and then drink it." Although bewildered, the young man did as he was told. He dropped the salt into the glass, stirred it until it dissolved, and then took a sip. Instantly, he recoiled, spitting the water out onto the ground. "It's awful," he exclaimed. "It tastes so bitter and salty, I can't drink it." His face was scrunched up in disgust. The master just smiled a soft, knowing smile. He didn't say a word, but simply gestured for the young man to follow him. They left the temple and walked together in silence along a winding path that led them to a beautiful, vast lake. The water was crystal clear, calm, and peaceful, stretching out as far as the eye could see. The serene beauty of the lake was a stark contrast to the turmoil in the young man's heart. The master stopped at the edge of the water and handed the young man the rest of the packet of salt. "Now," he said, his voice as calm as the lake itself, "pour all of this salt into the lake." The young man, still confused but trusting the master's wisdom, opened the packet and scattered the salt across the surface of the water. He watched as it disappeared into the gentle ripples. Now, the master said again, "Drink the water from the lake." The young man hesitated for a moment, then knelt down. He cupped his hands, scooped up some of the cool, clear water, and brought it to his lips. He drank deeply. A look of surprise and relief washed over his face. "It's delicious," he said, looking at the master. "It tastes fresh and pure. I can't taste the salt at all." The Zen master sat down on a rock by the water's edge and gestured for the young man to sit beside him. He looked out at the vast expanse of the lake and began to speak. "My friend," he said softly, "the pain and problems in life are like that handful of salt. The amount of salt doesn't change. It is always the same." He paused, letting his words sink in. "What changes," he continued, "is the container you put it in. When your heart and mind are small, like that glass of water, even a small amount of salt makes the whole thing bitter and unbearable. Your suffering feels immense, and it taints everything. But when your heart and mind are vast and deep, like this lake, the same amount of salt has almost no effect. It dissolves without a trace, and the water remains fresh and pure. The problems are still there, but they lose their power to disturb you." The master looked at the young man with kind eyes. "When life gives you pain, do not wish for less pain. Instead, seek to expand your capacity to hold it. Don't ask for fewer problems. Ask for a bigger heart. Cultivate patience, resilience, and inner peace. Be the lake, not the glass." Our entire world feels bitter and tainted by that one small handful of salt. But when we cultivate patience, emotional strength, and a wider perspective, the very same problems lose their sting. We develop a deep inner calm that allows us to absorb challenges without being overwhelmed by them. A weak, reactive mind is like that small glass of water. But a strong, patient, and expanded mind is like the deep, calm lake. So the next time you feel like the weight of the world is on your shoulders, remember this lesson. Instead of wishing for life to be easier, focus on making yourself stronger. Expand your capacity for patience. Deepen your well of inner peace. Don't pray for a lighter load. Pray for a stronger back. Choose to be the late. Be quiet, be deep, and be unshaken by the salt that life inevitably sprinkles in. A patient and resilient mind is unbreakable. A person with such a mind can face anything life throws their way, not with bitterness, but with grace and strength. Thank you for watching. If this story resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe for more content that helps you build a stronger, more peaceful mind. See you in the next video.